Welcome to History's Mysterious Minds, where some stories begin at the moment others should end. In this episode, we enter the dense canopy of a mystery rooted in survival, a fall from the sky, a jungle with no mercy, and a teenage girl, alone, with only instinct and memory. This is the story of Juliane Koepcke, the girl who defied death, nature, and the odds. It was December 24th, 1971. Juliane Koepcke was 17 years old, seated beside her mother on LANSA Flight 508. They were flying from Lima to Pucallpa, a routine domestic flight in Peru. Juliane had just graduated from high school and was planning to study zoology, like her parents, but this Christmas Eve would rewrite everything. A Christmas flight turned into something unthinkable, and the holiday sky held a storm. Mid-flight, turbulence began to shake the aircraft. Rain pounded the windows, lightning flashed, passengers clutched armrests, whispered prayers. Juliane stayed calm until she felt the plane fall. A sudden drop, a scream, then another. The lights flickered. The turbulence became chaos, and then a blinding white flash and silence. Juliane does not remember the exact moment the plane broke apart, but somehow she found herself outside the aircraft, still strapped to her seat, spiraling through the air. She was falling from nearly 10,000 feet, through rain, wind, and jungle canopy. And then, everything went black, a fall from the sky that no one should have survived. But somehow, she did. When Juliane awoke, she was alone, still in the jungle, still strapped to part of a seat. Her right eye was swollen shut, her collarbone broken. She wore a single sandal and a sleeveless dress. All around her, the Amazon, thick, alive, relentless. She called out for her mother. No answer. She had survived the fall. But waking in the green was just the beginning. The Amazon is alive with sound, but offers no comfort. Insects buzzed in her ears, mosquitoes bit at her skin. Carrion flies circled. Something large moved in the underbrush. Juliane, raised by biologist parents, knew the jungle, but not like this. Not with no food, no water, no tools, because the jungle is not silent. It speaks in hunger, in rot, and in time. Juliane knew she could not stay put. She searched the area, found wreckage, found bodies, but no other survivors. No voice answered her. She found candy among the wreckage. It would be her only food for days. Still, she kept calling, kept hoping. Searching for the others meant looking for help, and for someone still breathing. On her second day, she discovered a small stream. It was muddy, slow-moving, but it was moving. She remembered her father's advice. If you ever get lost, follow water. So she did. Wading, walking, floating downstream. A river appears, not a path out, but a thread to follow. Her wounds were becoming infected. Her arm was covered in cuts, her leg swollen. Maggots burrowed into a gash on her right arm. She tried to clean it with water, even poured gasoline from wreckage over the wound. She stayed calm, she stayed alive, but injuries and insects began to wear her down. Still, she walked. In the wreckage, Juliane had seen a red bag. It was her mother's. Inside, some clothes, a flashlight, and candy. That candy lasted her for the first 3 days. Then nothing. No food, no tools, just instinct and memory. The red bag became a symbol, not of comfort, but of survival and loss. Juliane was not fearless, but she was focused. She had spent years in the jungle with her parents. She knew what snakes to avoid, what sounds to trust. Alone, but not afraid, she used knowledge in place of panic, step by step, day by day. Hope, not fear, kept her moving. She lost track of time. The days blurred, the forest canopy blocked the sun. She slept on the ground, woke to unfamiliar sounds. Her dress was tattered, her shoes gone. Time disappears in the jungle. Only movement mattered. Juliane was nearsighted. Her glasses had broken in the crash. She tried to wear them anyway. One lens gone, the other cracked, but they helped. A little. She needed every edge she could find. A broken pair of glasses became part of her armour, part of her fight to see clearly in a world turned wild. It took 10 days. 10 days of walking, crawling, wading. 10 days without food. 10 days with wounds open and untreated. And on the 10th day, she saw something. A small hut, empty but man-made. 10 days and a thread of civilization. Outside the hut was a canoe. She touched it. Real, not imagined. She waited. Slept nearby. The next day, men arrived. Local woodcutters. At first, they thought she was a spirit, a ghost. But Juliane spoke, told them who she was. They treated her wounds with sap and leaves, gave her food. Then they led her out of the jungle, to a nearby village, then to an airstrip, then to Lima, out of the jungle after 11 days. But the story did not end there. She was the only survivor, 91 people on board. Juliane had lived, but her mother had not. She learned the truth days later. A miracle and a tragedy, side by side. Life and death in equal measure. News spread quickly. A teenage girl, a plane crash, a jungle, survival. Juliane became famous, I know, but she never wanted fame. The world watches, but does not always understand. She was a survivor, not a symbol. Juliane returned to Germany, finished school, went on to study biology, just as she had planned. She worked in museums, wrote books, gave lectures. But life after was not about retelling the fall. It was about living with what remained. Years later, Juliane returned to the crash site. She helped a documentary crew locate the wreckage, walk the same jungle paths, faced the memory. Return to the forest was not about fear, it was about peace. Juliane Koepcke's story is not just one of luck. It is about preparation, instinct, knowledge, and a will that refused to break. The mind of survival is quiet. It observes, endures, and believes. Juliane has never called herself brave. She says she simply did what she had to do. But her story, still told, still studied, continues to move us. Because the girl who fell from the sky reminds us that survival is not just about the body, it's about the mind and the heart. Thank you for walking this path with us, into the heart of one of history's most amazing survival stories. If Juliane's story inspired you, share the episode, leave a review, or send in your own mystery. Because sometimes, truth is more impossible than fiction. Until next time, stay observant, stay alive, and remember, some stories survive only because someone did.